Now we got everybody. Yes! So we have found our way to bracket 11, strangely enough, as our second game, bracket 11. We've got Mega Salt with Liobuster and Sporefreak versus Mussy Puncher. We have xxherzogzwei and Pave, or Pave, meant man. There we go. Looks like the server it chose is UK. I guess that makes sense given these guys. Got 3 ready, just waiting on xxherzogzwei. I'm excited. Got a lot of thought. Got a lot of decisions to make. These are important things. You can't just casually pick the units that you're going to take into a tournament game. I like how I can move the camera, but the camera doesn't actually move. Whee! Oh, there we are. So, Pave is going saucer. He is already abducting a neutral T-45. xxherzogzwei going ahead and trying to neutralize this outpost as quickly as he can. Same thing happening on the blue team. We've got Bomber, we've got Warthog, we've got damage-oriented mechs. So this is not going to be an Osprey leapfrog match. This is going to be a kill everything you can match. xxherzogzwei already dropping in, trying to snipe some of those infantry, but unable to get them before they were in the post, so unable to delay that outpost capture. So blue team, sporefreak leaping ahead and doing some damage to this forward outpost. They're going to take out those brutes. Red team doing the exact same thing over on their side, but they're preferring Dillos. Armadillo is going to be a lighter, scrappier tank, not as much armor, not as much hit points, but it's got pretty good damage considering the credits that it costs. Sporefreak is probably going to get out of here just fine. That ground dodge, pretty powerful, pretty hard to kill people if they stay on the ground. Pavement Man is going to abduct some neutral tanks, but he doesn't have an outpost yet, so he can't heal yet, so he's going to get killed. That is the difference that killing one infantry on the other side of the map early game can make. So now, Pavement Man sitting on the bench for another couple of seconds. This outpost is out of energy and no one can heal on it for a while. And that neutral tank may have gone down as well. xxherzogzwei leapfrogging up with a couple of scrappier tanks. Hopefully he can get a kill on Liobuster, but there's a couple of flackers there as well, so Herzog is not going to be able to kill him. He may die himself, but he is just so fast as the Neo, so he's not going to go down to that. Blue team is leapfrogging forward to take out as many neutrals as they can, if only to prevent the saucer from abducting them. So Pavement looking for an opening. There's too many flackers here, but because saucers are one of the most suicidal mechs known to mankind, he's probably going to try for it. xxherzogzwei going with some mass flackers as well, just to try and discourage this bomber from nuking all of their units down. Sporefreak setting up a couple of heavy mines in anticipation of a red push south. But don't you know, this is Airmech. You don't want to push. Pavement Man also setting up some heavy mines to the north side. Now, since there are repair units for the blue team, this will prevent those from really getting through. They'll be able to disarm those heavy mines before anything special happens. There is no Osprey here, so all this chip damage getting done to these red units is going to be permanent. xxherzogzwei is able to take out that Warthog. He could maneuver his units right here, but he had heavy mines in queue, and so he sets the heavy mines on top of the ratchet, so those heavy mines aren't going to do a whole lot. If only he had tanks. So now we've got heavy mines on top of heavy mines, and they're all going to be invisible, and neither team is going to know that the other team has heavy mines there. That is... Oh, well, scratch that. Now everybody knows there's heavy mines around. Well, what to do? Why not just put your healing units forward? That might be a good decision. Yep, so they'll be able to start disarming some of those. They'll just leapfrog forward. Meanwhile, Red has completely lost control of this top outpost. They haven't really been building units up there. They've been building units back here because they are a little bit more sheltered from the bomber fire. So really, what's going to keep blue from winning this? I feel like the bomber and warthog is going to be a pretty good composition. The heavy mines are really doing a good job of discouraging pushing because everyone's too afraid to build any kind of single zipper that would easily disarm all of those heavy mines. So since they're going with these massive tank-centric armies, they're just going to try and leapfrog forward as slowly as they can. Kind of like last game, but now they don't have good mechs for supporting that sort of playstyle. So what we are going to see is probably a lot of harassment. We're going to see tanks getting dropped behind. A little bit of tank Tetris going on the blue fort right now. But if they did bring a lunchbox, that damage will be healed up no problem. xxherzogzwei trying to put some pressure on this top outpost, trying to press in, losing a lot of units though. They push straight in over the heavy mines, expose their flank to these back blue units. Now, if the saucer had a death ray, maybe this could be good. There's a seeker right there, so Pavement Man is not going to be able to get this. In fact, he's just going to die. Because there's too much anti-air though. Now red does neutralize, but there's no healing units here. There's no infantry. Sporefreak goes down, trying to get some of that splash damage with the melee, but ultimately that's not going to work out as well. Necros going into the outpost, which is a terrible choice of capturing infantry because Necros are going to die as soon as they actually do anything valuable with their lives. So Pavement Man actually is going to drop some SAMs behind as well. Blue may or may not decide to do something with these tanks. I have a cat army crawling underneath my computer monitor. Let's move you over here, kitty. Okay. So red firmly captures that front outpost. They finally get some infantry in it, and they've got the unit advantage. So blue is going to recognize that they need to do something else with their time. They're going to push forward at the other outpost, try and neutralize that. So we've got a tit for tat going on, but red pretty much has the upper hand in this one. Just because red's got a little bit of initiative, they've got more units set up, they've got the outpost captured. Blue is going to need infantry here if they're going to do anything with it. They also don't have enough flacker to prevent the saucer from abducting all these. So if Pavement Man comes in here and captures one of the flackers, he's actually going to have an easy time abducting all of the rest of the units. But Sporefreak is here to stop him. So now that the outpost is in firm blue control, they're going to be able to leapfrog these units forward. So this is not perfectly symmetrical as far as the map distribution because red captured the bottom post, blue captured the top post. This is going to have a little bit easier position, a little bit closer to be able to drop the fort. Now, but red does have a handful of just jumpers and dillos doing constant damage on the fort, and if nobody comes back here to deal with it, then it's just going to stack up. That's a ton of damage on the fort already, and red is pushing in with all of their units from that forward post. Now, unfortunately, they didn't push them together, so this flacker is going to be a tell. Liobuster is going to see that. The flacker is going to die, and these other units are going to stream in single file into this wall of tanks that he's setting up. So ultimately, red throwing all of their units into the meat grinder. Really, they should have gone for a capture on the undefended outpost, or even considered coming in towards the backside of the top. So red pretty much losing all of their units here for no benefit. And meanwhile, blue not going to make the same mistake. They're still doing the slow, methodical leapfrog. Now, there are some heavy mines on defense, but that might not be enough. Sporefreak is going to come in. He's going to save that ratchet and drop that back behind the lines. So Pavement Man got some busters, which is an interesting choice. Buster is short for tank buster. They do good damage. They have decent range, but like you can see how the buster is able to fire in on the Longhorn, but he's not receiving any fire in return. The problem with busters is that they are not maneuverable at all. And so blue, now that red has no units, Liobuster is just walking right in here and taking out this whole red outpost. Now the socketed turrets are going to be pretty good, but with no mech support, those turrets are going to get overwhelmed eventually. Now xxherzogzwei coming in here, Blade Guardians, Neo, point blank, swirling around, doing lots of damage and keeping these tanks distracted is going to be able to wipe those out, since now the blue mechs are nowhere to be seen. Everywhere we see units going in unsupported, just walking in blindly, and then the mechs disappear, so they get taken advantage of. Now blue has been able to wrestle this bottom outpost as well, so now blue has a firm advantage over red. Red has sacrificed all their units. They have no easy way to get infantry into this bottom outpost, and all these red dots you see on the minimap are just heavy mines in anticipation of a push, which ultimately is not going to be that helpful. So Pavement Man drops a couple of creeps and is going to try and capture that post. This is probably going to turn into a base race sort of scenario. Now blue, still with a leapfrog, still on C command, they're just out of radar range, and they're going to be trying to annihilate any red units, but they're not actually focusing on the fort. Red, if they are quick about it, they could get a fort kill here, but Warthog does a little bit of damage. You've got those rainbow tracers. Everyone knows rainbows do more damage, right? Right? Holy crap, that is scary looking though. It's like he's spewing happiness out of his gun. So the bomber is dropping some bombs. He's got a wide open concave here. Plenty of anti-air to support, so the saucer's not going to be able to abduct anything. Busters are alright, but not when they're being pushed. So busters, they have no support. Red is just falling apart. This is the brutal collapse of their line. Sporefreak coming in with the whirlwind as well to get behind all of those units. They finally set these tanks on T, so this should be the end. And just in case Red was having any second thoughts, the Warthog will be able to neutralize this forward post and keep them from dropping anything in response and turning this into a base race. Blue, once again, putting their units on hold position. That way, if Red does put any units in response, they're going to blow up the units, so they're not prioritizing the fort at all. That makes this a much slower death, but a much safer death. So if this were at all a base race scenario, this would be the wrong decision, but in this case, these tanks are getting easily distracted by everything that Red is dropping. Sporefreak and Liobuster not taking any chances here. So Red, I think, had the upper hand for a little bit when they snaked that first post, but they did not make good use of it. They lost a lot of their units when they really shouldn't have. Blue finally going to change to attack and do the damage to knock this fort out. And GG, Sporefreak and Liobuster going to take this one and move on to the next bracket. That is Team Megasalt is taking this over Team Mussy Puncher and moving on to the semifinals.